Greetings, fellow time travelers. Welcome back to Secrets of the Ancients, where we uncover the hidden mysteries of lost civilizations and dive deep into the secrets that shaped our world. I'm your archaeological guide, and today's discovery will absolutely blow your mind and challenge everything you thought you knew about the dawn of human history. So, picture this. What if I told you that before our recorded history even began, Earth was ruled by just 8 kings whose combined reign lasted for an astonishing 241,200 years? This isn't fantasy or science fiction. This is written in one of the oldest historical documents ever discovered, carved into ancient Sumerian clay over 4,000 years ago. We're talking about rulers who sat on their thrones for 28,000 years, 36,000 years at a time, and their extraordinary reign ended with one catastrophic event that changed everything: the Gilgamesh flood. Before we unveil these incredible secrets, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ancient mysteries we're about to reveal. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? Let's dive into this archaeological journey together. Let's travel back to the year 1922. In the sun-scorched plains of modern-day Iraq, British archaeologist Herbert Weld-Blundell was excavating the ruins of the ancient Sumerian city of Larsa. Among the rubble and dust, his team made a discovery that would baffle historians for the next century. They found a small 4-sided clay prism, no bigger than a modern paperback book, covered from top to bottom in cuneiform script, which are the wedge-shaped sacred writings of the ancient Sumerians. When scholars finally translated this artifact, now known as the Weld-Blundell Prism, they expected to find records of grain harvests or temple ceremonies. Instead, they discovered something that would shake the foundations of archaeology itself. What they found was the Sumerian King List, a meticulously organized historical document listing rulers, their capital cities, and the length of their reigns. But here's what made archaeologists' jaws drop. This wasn't written like mythology or poetry. It was written with the dry, precise tone of an accountant or court scribe, presenting facts as if recording a ledger. But the facts it recorded seemed absolutely impossible. The list begins with a simple yet world-altering statement. After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu. The first king of Eridu was named Alulim, and according to this ancient document, he ruled for 28,800 years. The second king, Al-Algar, ruled for 36,000 years. The third king held the throne for an incredible 43,200 years. Now here's where this mystery gets even more intriguing. The ancient scribe carefully tallied the total 8 kings ruling for a combined 241,200 years. And then the list comes to an abrupt, chilling halt with a single stark sentence. Then, the flood swept over. But wait, fellow explorers, because what happens next will absolutely amaze you. To the modern mind, these numbers seem ridiculous, right? No human being can live for 28,000 years, let alone rule an empire for that long. The immediate reaction from mainstream historians was to dismiss this entire section as pure mythology, no different from tales of dragons or giants. They labeled these early rulers as mythological figures and moved on. But here's the mystery that baffled archaeologists and created an inescapable paradox. After that line about the Great Flood, the king list picks right back up. It names new kings and new cities, but now the reign lengths are dramatically shorter. A few hundred years, then just over a century, then a few decades. Suddenly the numbers become completely believable and historically accurate. And here's the real bombshell that changes everything. The post-flood section of the list names kings who we know, through other historical texts and archaeological discoveries, were absolutely real, historical figures. Most famously, it lists Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, whose legendary epic is one of the world's oldest pieces of literature, and whose city walls have been physically excavated and confirmed to exist. This creates a puzzle that modern science still cannot solve. If the later part of the Sumerian King List is accepted as genuine historical record, proven accurate by archaeology, how can we so confidently dismiss the first part? The same ancient scribe, using the same matter-of-fact tone and precise mathematical system, wrote down both sections. The document makes absolutely no distinction between the kings who ruled for 43,000 years and the kings who ruled for 43 years. It presents them all as part of a single, continuous history interrupted only by a great catastrophic flood. This forces us to ask a terrifying question that most historians refuse to address. What if this ancient list isn't a myth at all? What if it's a memory, a preserved record of something that actually happened on our planet? Now, here's something that will absolutely blow your mind, fellow time travelers. These impossibly long reign lengths aren't just random exaggerated numbers pulled from thin air. They follow a precise, deliberate mathematical pattern based on the Sumerian sexagesimal system, which is their base 60 system of mathematics that we still use today to measure time and angles. The Sumerians' highest unit of time was called a sar, which represented exactly 3,600 years. Now watch this. When we examine the reigns through this mathematical lens, something incredible emerges. Alulim's reign of 28,800 years equals exactly 8 sars. Alalgar's 36,000 years equals exactly 10 sars. Enmenluana's 43,200 years equals exactly 12 sars. This isn't the work of storytellers making up fantastical numbers. This is a calculated, deliberate system created by mathematicians and record-keepers. These ancient scribes were recording something they believed to be ordered, precise, and absolutely real. But what were they actually recording? This leads us to two mind-bending possibilities that modern archaeology struggles to explain. The first theory suggests these numbers are symbolic, representing long eras of influence or cosmic cycles rather than individual lifespans. But if that's true, why present them as the reigns of specific named individuals with detailed records? Why maintain the same documentary style throughout? The second possibility is far more radical and controversial, but it aligns perfectly with what the Sumerians themselves believed. What if these rulers weren't human as we understand humanity? What if they were something else entirely? The King List itself gives us a massive clue in its very first line. Kingship descended from heaven Rabbi. For the ancient Sumerians, the right to rule wasn't a human invention that evolved over time. It was a divine institution, delivered to Earth from outside our world. This has led some researchers to a conclusion that mainstream archaeology refuses to seriously consider, that the Sumerian King List is an actual historical record of a time when Earth was governed by non-human entities, beings whose biology or perhaps advanced technology allowed for lifespans that make a complete mockery of our own short existence. Now we arrive at one of the most controversial topics in ancient history, fellow explorers. In the background of this entire mystery looms a powerful name from Sumerian sacred texts, the Anunnaki. This term, which scholars translate as those who from heaven to earth came appears throughout Mesopotamian mythology. But were the Anunnaki merely mythological gods, or were they something far more tangible? According to ancient Sumerian beliefs, the Anunnaki were physical beings who descended from the sky and established civilization on Earth, teaching humanity the arts of government, agriculture, mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. Here's what makes this absolutely fascinating. The Weld-Blundell Prism is not a standalone document. At least 16 other fragments of the King List have been discovered across Mesopotamia in different ancient cities like Nippur and Kish. And guess what? They all tell the same core story with the same impossible numbers. This was not one scribe's fantasy. This was a foundational, widely accepted historical record for the people who literally invented urban civilization as we know it. The ancient Sumerians believed without any question that their world was born from an age of godlike kings, an age that ended in a world-destroying flood. They didn't view this as mythology. They viewed it as their actual history. Recent excavations have revealed something even more intriguing. This concept of rulers with divine origins and extraordinarily long reigns isn't unique to Sumer. Similar king lists with impossibly long reign lengths have been found in ancient Egypt, in the Turin Papyrus. Chinese records speak of divine emperors who ruled for thousands of years before the historical dynasties began. Even Hindu texts describe yugas, vast cycles of time when godlike beings walked the earth. Could this be a coincidence? Or are we looking at a global memory, preserved in different cultures, of the same extraordinary period in human prehistory when our planet was under very different management? Let's now travel to where this incredible story begins, the primordial city of Eridu. For the ancient Sumerians, Eridu wasn't just another city, it was the first city, the absolute origin point of human civilization itself. Archaeological excavations confirm that Eridu is indeed one of the oldest settlements in all of Mesopotamia, with its foundations dating back to approximately 5,400 years before the Common Era. But what archaeologists discovered there is genuinely strange and raises more questions than it answers. The city appears with a surprising level of sophistication right from its earliest layers. Deep below the sands, excavators uncovered the remains of a small shrine that was obsessively rebuilt again and again over centuries. Each new temple was constructed larger and more elaborate than the last, built directly on top of the foundations of the previous one. It's as if the ancient inhabitants were desperately trying to maintain a sacred connection to that specific spot on Earth, preserving a point of contact between their world and another realm. Sumerian mythology tells us exactly why this location was so sacred. Eridu was the home of Enki, the great god of wisdom, knowledge, magic, creation, and fresh water. Enki was often depicted as a friend to humanity, the divine scientist and engineer who gave us the gifts of civilization. If kingship, with all its associated laws, sciences, and social structures, was indeed a gift from the heavens, Enki's city would be the logical delivery point. What do you think, fellow time travelers? Is the Sumerian King List mythology or memory? Are we looking at ancient propaganda or ancient truth? Share your theories in the comments below. If this archaeological investigation amazed you, smash that like button and subscribe to Secrets of the Ancients for more mind-bending journeys through lost history. Hit that notification bell because next week we're diving even deeper into the mystery. We'll explore what happened during the Great Flood that ended this extraordinary age, and we'll meet the kings who ruled in the world that emerged from the waters. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the greatest secrets of our past are still waiting to be uncovered.